Bole Baba Kijay, welcome to today's Satsang. And I'm Ramloti from the Haidakhandi Universal Ashram in Crestone, Colorado, United States. And I'm happy that we're back together. We've taken a 6-week break here. And today we're going to focus on longer practice. So here we begin. We could start with Raghu. Are you back? Would you like to begin?
Oh, the whole thing starts from the beginning again.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's nice to have a rerun. Did everybody listen the first time? Well, in one way, I was just saying that one important thing is that we don't do what we usually do when we do sadhana. And usually we're worrying about the future and carrying the past around and recycling that constantly. While if we do sadhana, we are living in the moment, focusing on something higher, which is cleansing the mind, which is giving peace. And in that way, I think we vibrate these things to the people around us, and we are in that way helping to build a better world. I think we start slowly with, well, sort of improving ourselves, calming ourselves, and build evoluting ourselves. I'm not sure how that works, evolving ourselves in that way to a higher plan, and to bring more Babaji, to bring more divinity into the world by absorbing it ourselves. And that we cannot do enough. And because of the situation which is now in happening in the world, it is pretty strong. Everybody starts and it keeps on going. And I personally even believe it's just the beginning. So to start now the new year, everybody now is suffering. Last year we still thought but this is going to end soon, but now everything is in turmoil. So to start the new year, and particularly if we can do this also collectively in one way or the other, that everybody can do japa. Some can also do havan and sing the arti and do all sorts of things, but dedicate that first day to the divine, because all these things which are happening in the world are also the divine, but they're so confusing. They're so typhoonic. Typhoonic, invented a new word, I think. But it's in the middle of this this turmoil, that the only thing what is still calm and is really present is the divine in our hearts. And it is all this is just being projected onto the divine, which is the screen where we are seeing the world happening. But the divine, the screen itself, is ever present and untouched. And let's try to focus on that and hold on to that. And that we can do with sadhana. Is that a good opening to this story?
Great. For me, the line, that we don't do what we usually do, which is, I don't know about you, but it's like, hello, the iPhone, the computer, it's so busy. So yeah, I love that. Just even doing the 16 rounds every morning, it's just this quiet, still time. And then I do my meditation and yoga. And it's just like, it feels like this time that I'm in that quiet space with the divine. So thank you. So one of the things that, as I was thinking about this satsang, that came to mind is how Babaji was teaching us all along. And I thought that I was particularly happy. I'm happy to see you here in Nansing, because I know that, or I remember a story about you being sent into the forest or something to do japa. So can you share something about that and how that transpired and what it felt like?
Yeah, actually, Baba sent me to the desert in Rajasthan for several months. And it's interesting. I had the great fortune in this life to not only be with Baba, but to spend time with other great saints and yogis. And I think they all had one thing pretty much in common, was that they didn't have a story about themselves. And I've been meditating a lot on this and writing a lot on this recently about you are not your story. So we spend most of our lives, actually there was a study in the States that's about 5, either reminiscing about the past or fantasizing about the future, and very little time in the present. And so we've all built up this story about ourselves, but it's just emotions and thoughts and our association with events in the past. And it's not who we are. We're not our story. We are the observer of the present moment. That's where we really are. So, but anyway, I'll tell you the story about
tell us
being
your
sent to
story.
the desert. Yeah, I was never really sure at the time why Baba sent me off to live in Rajasthan at the edge of a desert village, where really no one spoke English. One guy spoke a little, and my Hindi was pretty poor, even though I'd been in India a long time. And I wasn't allowed to take anything. He dictated what I could take. And it was a lota and a billy can, and a mala, a notebook, a pencil, a change of clothes, so 2 longis and one I stood up in, and a clean one and a clean kurta, and a cotton mat to lie on and a shawl to pull over myself at night. That was it. Oh, and he gave me his danda, his stick, a steel-tipped bamboo stave, which became very useful in beating off wild dogs. But anyway, that's another story. So I get there and no books, no papers, no radio, definitely no TVs. There were no TVs in that district, not much electricity, and nothing to do. So I started to do japa because basically I was bored. And I didn't know it, but there's a sadhana you can do. And Kaku then sent me another mala. And I didn't know then that there was a sadhana you do where you have 2 malas, you're doing one in the right hand, and on the other one, every time you do a full round, you just pull 1 bead, and then you count how many rounds of mala you did. And so I started to do it every day, how many times I'd said Om Namah Shivaya. And after a while of writing them down, I wondered how many times I'd done it, and I counted them up, and it was just over 1 million times. And I think Baba tricked me, it was like, because you're living in the ashram, and it's, it is what it is. And but there's not a lot of time for quiet contemplation like that. So he kind of sent me where there were no distractions. Oh, no money. I wasn't allowed to take money either. So couldn't hop on a bus and go anywhere. So it was just a way of tricking me. The other thing that happened there, I got very sick with malaria. I went blind, and I thought I was going to die. And I said to Baba, okay, if this is it, if this is death, then I'm ready to go. Let's finish. And of course, the next day I got a little bit better and eventually got well enough to be able to leave there. So it was kind of a rebirth too. So very briefly, that's the story as best as I can do in the wee hours of the morning, where it happens to be midsummer. Not everybody's in the winter, and it's still 30 degrees Celsius at night. Bole Babaji Jai.
How long were you in this desert?
Some months, and yeah, Baba wanted me to go back afterwards when I'd finished, and I didn't. So I've had to do some japa ever since as a penance. For not doing as I was told, which is a bad habit that I have.
What did you learn, or what did you take away from those couple of months?
The other thing I took away was that after a while, first I was bored, and then I kind of just settled into it, and I realized I was quite content and quite happy with no possessions, no money, nothing. And the great gift he gave me out of that was, much as I like nice things like everybody else, I lost attachment to stuff. I found it ever since easy to walk away from things, possessions, without any fear of loss. And he, you know, I think a lot of us spend in Western society a lot of our lives accumulating stuff or working hard and being worried about not having anything, and it's not so bad. You can be well without much. So
it's Satsang. Other people that had experiences, Raghu, did Baba send you away sometimes or give you certain time?
Only once he sent me into the, give me a sadhana to sit in the cave during a Navaratri in '83, and to complete 125,000 mantras for the mother, and that, in the cave in Haidakhandi. So what a blessing to sit there for 9 days. And it was, I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it was easy. It was lovely because, you know, you're so protected. You have the feeling that you're sitting in probably the best place in the world, and the only thing you do, Babaji told me, so it was all pure bliss. And it was, I finished also a day early, and I didn't even know, because I hardly knew when it was day or night, because I was so involved with all of this. It was very nice. It was very carried. But after that, after Samadhi, also I've done this sometimes by myself. And I once came before the Navaratri of Chile and Nola, autumn Navaratri, I went to Haidakhandi and sat in my room once for 8 days. Because there was nobody in Haidakhandi. Everybody would always straight go to Chile and Nola, and it was just at the end of monsoon, a lot of mold everywhere, and so I just went in my room and I sat there for 8 days, and I did japa, and it was quite interesting. It was also the same experience again, but even the same if I do it here, if I really pull back for a few days. If you really pull back, then and you start to concentrate, then the mantra takes over, and you wonder, actually, am I doing the mantra, or is the mantra doing me? In between you go and eat something, but actually nothing seems to matter anymore so much. Sleep also not. Sometimes you're tired, okay, you roll over and then you get back and you get back into it, but the mantra goes even when you are asleep at a certain point. It continuously happens. So that is very beautiful, very, very interesting. One story which comes up now, I'd like to tell about that 8 days that I did it myself. There was no, in my room in Haidakhandi, there was nobody there. And the next morning, after at the finishing, I was going to be picked up at 5 or 6 o'clock or something up on the ashram. So I thought I better close my room and I sleep somewhere upstairs so I can easily with my luggage and everything already organized, because I sleep down at the company at the Mahashakti Duni. So I did that, but I didn't know where to take a shower. I was in a room, but there was no shower there. So I went in the old shower where the only shower there was 40 years ago, you remember? And the evening before I checked, and the door there is very low. It is maybe 150. It is for midgets. So it really teaches you humility to get in there. But I went in the evening to check if there was a bucket and if there were things to because there's only a tap in the wall. So if there were things to, and I got a bucket organized. And the next morning I come in there. I had not done well until late. I was very busy, but I didn't stay awake that last night. And in the morning I was sleepy. I think, okay, let's go and take a shower. And I go inside that place and I see, oh, there's no bucket. And I come back out and I stand up, but I stand up under the door. And I did that quite forcefully in a swing. And I was, in 1 second, I was on my knees, and it was like a big hammer on my head. I was on my knees and I could feel anger coming up from the stupidity and the pain also. I saw it as a red cloud coming over. And I saw it happening and I thought, no, that's not helpful. But this is in a split second and I let it go. And it was just, of course, still extremely painful, but without that anger, and all the thoughts around all of this is an enormous difference, I can tell you that. But I think it was only because of that week of real sadhana that in this split second, I was aware of this happening and I could just say, oh no, I'm not going to engage with all that. I still remember that so clearly, how strong and clear presence is when you really focus. But most of us, of course, are not able to go and pull out for a week. Maybe we can do it sometimes in our life. I can really advise you to anybody who's interested to go and take some time step out somewhere. I mean, it is very difficult if you are in a family or if you are in a city where you can really pull out. That the energies there are not like that. But when you are in ashram, sometimes it is really good to experience that. And in the beginning, it will be difficult because we bring our head with us wherever we go. Even if you go into the temple or into the cave or wherever, we bring our head with us. So it takes some time of really focused concentration to that all this stuff, all this is subsiding a little bit, and that the mantra becomes stronger. But I can warmly recommend it, and it's extremely healing. And it's, yeah. Okay, next one, please.
Beautiful, thank you. To watch, see the anger come up. Beautiful.
It takes some time, in the beginning, the mind comes back with so much forces. When you, for the first time, you start to meditate, you immediately think, oh my God, that's not for me. Look at this, how much stuff it is. And you become just because we become aware of this enormous thing we have going on. And that is with meditation, with japa, it's the same. But you know, it takes some perseverance, some some going on to really get into the depth of this. But warmly recommend.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, it was just recently you did a 3-day one, and that's what really inspired me to suggest.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask anything because when you and I were talking about this, Ramloti, I thought if I'm going to say again from let's do 3 days, that will be so difficult for so many people who have all sorts of engagements. And actually the point is, do what you can. I mean, and even if it is just an hour or whatever. But the thing is that if you really want to reach somewhere, that you do get quieter, that you really do make a change, then you have to really put more into it. But if you have a family and you have kids, then on the 1st of January, you're going to do other things. No matter what, you cannot pull out. So don't feel separated, but just focus on it. Let's and try to put it at another moment in your life, or to be part of it, because it is so much what we carry around, our past and our future. And as Nansing was just saying before, and it's so busy here. And to really break through, we need to take some time out.
Yeah, when you said 1 day, I thought that was perfect.
Yeah, and even that will be very difficult for family members, or if you are with wherever you are, everybody has a different story happening in their life. And you know, I mean, don't feel excluded. Do it in your way at your time, but see the importance of it. See the value of doing this, and try. Do what you can.
So somebody has some more to add to that. Gayatri, how do you do when I know you do, you've done a lot of retreats with, you were just sharing last time about doing a retreat with Eckhart Tolle. And I mean, there's lots of different ways to do retreats, but basically it's like retreating from what we normally do and doing something else. And any words or thoughts?
Well, I love my silent retreats with Isaac Shapiro. I've been doing that for like 20 years. Something Pujari, I think it was Pujari. He always gets me into things. And I really, really missed that. And also he's in Australia, so he's doing retreats online during COVID, but the timing is like 4 a.m. for me. So I haven't participated in those. And I know, you know, I'm waiting for a man to come with the heater, so I might have to get off early if he comes before the call's over. But I'm throwing a big dance party in my barn tomorrow night, because doing something we don't normally do in 3 years, I haven't really danced my ass off. So that's my plan. And I have 40 people coming, and I'm just going to party my ass off. And if I get COVID and die, I Om Namah Shivaya, but I'm done. I cannot be cooped up any longer. And then once I recover and calm down, maybe Sunday will be my day of, because Cuddy's coming, all my friends are coming. Yeah, I'm so excited, but it's a big party. So I've got to manage food and booze and everything. And I worked 8 hours, Witsi and I, to put lights in the barn. It looks fantastic and magical. And this guy has to come with the heater, or otherwise we're going to freeze our asses off. So it's unusual for me only now because of COVID. Otherwise, it's very usual for me to be dancing and celebrating. So I'm so excited because I feel like it's been so long. And I've been thanking Baba so much that people accepted and decided to risk their lives to come to my party. And yeah, so that's my plan. And every time I dance, I do Om Namah Shivaya. I'm a japa dancer. So that Baba will be with me the whole time. And I'm just so excited. And heck with silent retreat for now for me, because I've been in one for like 2 years. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to party the new year. So I really appreciate all of you doing what you're doing. I so appreciate it. I hope a little bit rubs off on me, and I hope a little bit of my shaking my booty rubs off on you.
Thanks, Gayatri. Happy New Year. Happy
New Year.
Other people here, Mon, did you want to share? You have to unmute, Don.
I like it.
You're good.
Raghu was talking about how we get away from what we do normally. And when we do that enough, then what we do normally is different.
The new norm.
And so, and that I think is the whole idea of sadhana, is that to change what we do normally so that the divine is interwoven in our very being all day long. And of course it doesn't, we don't always stay in those moments, but I think we're creatures of habit. And so if we get into good habits, then those become normal for us. And so that's, to me, that's the idea of sadhana, in whatever way we do sadhana. And that it just changes our perspective of life. And then that change in perspective actually changes what we receive in life. So we notice the divine in everything, or maybe not everything, but we hit our heads and we get angry, but we let that anger go. Like Raghu was talking about also, is that we just observe from a vaster perspective everything that happens around us, and like Nan Singh was saying, we become less attached to comforts or the things that we're programmed to be attached to. So that's kind of what sadhana is for me, and I do love Om Namah Shivaya, and I think there have been times in my life when I've done a lot of fasting and I've done a lot of sitting, and I still do some, and I try to make all of my life a meditation. That's my goal, and all of my life of prayer, and all of my life kindness, and when I fall on my face, I just get back up and brush off and try to get back at it.
Did Baba talk to you about it or anything like that, or encourage you? I mean, I know I was hoping maybe Lok would be here, that he told Lok get up every night at Raghu. I think you shared that story in your book also, that then you started doing it, to get up every night at midnight and do japa for an hour by the river. Did you get any of those kind of assignments, like Nan Singh got his assignment to go out to the desert?
Well, I did, and also I usually I found that a really quiet time of the day or night was when everybody went to bed, and I used to go sit on Baba's roof and meditate and look at the stars, and oftentimes he would come out and we just have these late night conversations, and he'd maybe tell me how to, like he'd tell me to not sit on the concrete, to always put a mat down or grass down, or different things. So that was very just solidified everything in me, of a contemplative life, I guess. And another time he had me everyone went away on a yatra with Baba, and he had me sit by his room for 27 days. And I tried to stay awake the whole time. Of course, I didn't. And several times when I fell asleep, he would speak to me and say, "I thought you were going to stay awake," just because he had such a wonderful sense of humor, that I'm sure he didn't really care if I stayed awake, but I cared about it. So he, of course, had to joke about it with me. And so I just sat until I couldn't sit, and then I'd crawl, and then I'd walk a little bit until I could sit some more, and I just fasted and didn't speak for 27 days, and that was a powerful time, and at the same time, everything that Baba gives us in any way is powerful. Raghu was saying that everybody can just do your best and do what you can do at the time. So that's kind of the way it is with being excuse me, my phone is it's just like we just keep trying at all times and trying to be better at being good, at being kind, and that's the big sadhana for me. And love, love is a pretty sweet thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to grasp, because when I talk to Raghu and he's just done, the more, and then I'm trying this morning, the 16 malas, which take me quite a long time. I mean, when I first read about it, Mina said, 20 minutes. And I thought, 20 minutes, that's easy. And I did 20 minutes worth. And then I realized I did about 8 rounds. I don't know how people do it. But for me, it takes 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and plus with meditation. And, it's a good hour added to an already early start to get to the temple to dress mother, And, but it feels real good. And then it's not like the rest of my days. Like yesterday, 2 families came with teenagers, and the teenagers had tons of questions, and one was really in need, and it was wonderful. It was so deep just to speak and listen to this 15-year-old young woman who was really confused and having experiences she didn't know what was happening. And and for me that was like a retreat, because I didn't eat, I didn't drink, it was like nothing else but this person. So I've tried to not schedule anybody for coming on the 1st of January. And it might snow, so that'll help. Nobody comes, and we do a fire ceremony every day. So I am a little confused. I see the value of taking that time, and I can feel it in my soul. But I also see the value of, just like you're saying, being in love with Baba moment to moment and trying to repeat the name of God. Like when this young woman was speaking, I just was saying, I was having a bit of a conversation also with Baba. It's like, just let me know if I'm supposed to say anything or just listen, like, I don't have a clue. Like, wow. The lives that people are having, particularly in this very confused time. So I'm excited about doing it. And also as looking back, it's like, Baba did nudge me a little bit. The second time I was in India with him, and it was my first trip to the Haidakhandi with my children in 81. We got back from Guru Purnima, and he told me, and I've shared this before, just to do the what's the thing, the puja that goes right after during the month of Savan. Anyways, the one where you're making
puja.
Exactly. He told me to do that. I don't know how long we did it, 2 weeks, 21 days. And he told me not to eat and not to speak and to sit there all day making how many lingams out of clay?
Yeah, no, it increases every day.
Okay. I mean, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but he told me, you go and do that. And my, my 8 and 10-year-old thought this was great. Mom's not going to talk to us for 2 weeks. We're going to have a ball. And it seemed unlikely, but I did it, and so I realized as I was thinking about doing the satsang, that Babaji did point out that these kind of times taken out of my life, which at the time was being a mom, are important for us. Another time when the children had gone back already to the United States, I had a friend fly them back so they could get back to school and be with their dad. And I stayed on, and Hiraman was there when he told me that he threw a bunch of us out of the ashram because we were so-called late for arti. And then he said, okay, people can stay if those that stay up for 3 days and 3 nights, or, all night doing japa or chanting. And I did. I was in that kirtan hall right after arti, and I stayed till morning bath, and then we were right back in for arti again. I didn't move from that kirtan hall. And so once again, and I had very strong experiences. So Baba was showing me in that way that these are good times to do things a little differently than I do.
Yeah.
It probably helps me get out my story nothing. Like,
It's kind of like taking time in, we think about taking time out, but it's really, we're just taking time in when we do things, and there's room for both. I mean, speaking with that girl might be like doing 10 million mantras, because it might affect her life so profoundly.
This Christmas, I had my daughter and her family came, and I had Mom's losing her eyesight. So basically I had to put on Christmas because she couldn't really see much. And my boyfriend who was murdered, his son got thrown out of where he was living, and he was on the street. And so he called to see if he could stay here. And, it was not convenient at all. Let's just put it that way. And, but I could just feel, oh my God, it's his first Christmas without his dad. He's alone. His mother won't take him. Actually, she would kill me if she found out he was here. So I had that fear, and he did too. But it was just like, it's Christmas, open your home, So I took him in, and every morning we sat here. Today he's found a place, so I'm kind of happy. But anyway, he sat here, and we had these amazing talks, and I got him on Castaneda books, and I don't know. It was a really rich, I have to say, of all my Christmas, he was, it started me feeling overloaded and how can I do this? But in the end, it turned out to be the biggest gift to have him here and share that time with him and sort of set him on a sort of spiritual path. Yeah. And then I prayed to Babaji. I was like, I've got people coming. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Please help him find a place to live. And he found a room with other boys for $400 a month, which is right within his budget. And it was just, it's so blessed. I feel so grateful right now to Baba for helping him find a place, because he hasn't really felt wanted anywhere. And so that was such a great Christmas gift for me, to be able to have him here and help and make him feel loved and wanted. Yeah. That was super.
really?
Meanwhile, Ramloti Loknath has arrived over there,
Okay.
and maybe the story you were just saying also would be interesting to hear.
Okay, I'm going to change screens, and thank you for helping, because I get lost with who's who. Hey, good morning, Loke.
Good morning.
It's really early in your neck of the woods.
Brother Baba Ki Jai. Hi,
Yay.
What a nice gathering.
Yeah. So I was just alluding to the story that I think I originally heard from you, and then recently Raghu tells it because I think he started following along for a while. But when Baba, I think you asked him a question or something, and he told you to get up every night at midnight and meditate by the river. Am I correct in that memory?
Yeah, almost. It wasn't just by the river, it was standing in the river.
Oh.
This, it was, it wasn't summertime. And yeah, quite cold. And so, yeah, that was part of, there was always kind of a carousel of different practices. And one of the things that was notable for me in that was I would be doing something and he said, "Oh, you're still doing that? Well, why aren't you doing this?" And part of what I tried to understand in that is to get locked into something and let our ego attach to it isn't beneficial. The process wants to be to download our ego and upload a place of service and care and truth, simplicity, and love. So I am, I mean, that has for me been kind of something of a lifelong lesson to move out of, just being, okay, an athlete about it and get it done is, and I hear it in, I hear it in some of these other voices. It's like, no, it's really about softening down and being present and being in a place of service. It's not about us, it's about us and the divine and the world. So.
Can you tell a story?
I mean, one that comes to mind is that Baba was always paying attention, and one of my practices was I still, you see, I kept mundan and shaved every day, and once we were on a yatra, and it was the time when this very famous and very old guru came to Baba and pranamed. Mm-hmm. And it happened that the day before he came, I had cut myself, or the evening before, I'd cut myself shaving. And so I didn't shave in the morning. And so we're expecting all these guests and kind of hanging out. And Baba kind of leans over to me and says, "Well, why didn't you shave this morning?" so it's like that sense of we are being witnessed, and to get a sense that, oh, well, actually that witness is in us as well. But yeah, but I think the other piece is, it was very, and I'm sure this has been mentioned, his playfulness in being with ashram full of people or just a few people, the depth of playfulness was always profound, and almost out of step with how afraid I was and how much fear I felt around his just the enormous spiritual presence. And some people quickly got over that. I think that others had, others had a kind of a more friendly sense of him. But I was always very intimidated myself. Yeah.
Did you get up at midnight for a long time, or did he change that?
Well, it wasn't quite midnight. It was like it was less convenient. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I did it for maybe a couple of weeks, and then got tired, and my feet started swelling and painful, and so I just stopped. And that was the other thing. I mean, some of the things were clearly experiments, and I think that there was a calling to be experimental and to learn to have agents practices. And I took a bit of that to heart, and have always kind of let my practice evolve. Yeah, but thank you. Lovely to see everybody.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, crazy times we're all going through.
Can I maybe tell that story from Loknath from my point of view when I was...
I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I had been walking around with Babaji that morning, and we encountered Loknath. It was for some reason, or maybe he called you, I don't remember that, out of your room, but it was there where Babaji, in front of your room, where Babaji started to talk with you about this sadhana. Now, you had just been initiated into this Langoti Baba, and I couldn't stop making fun of it because it was new to me, and you and Hargovind were all of a sudden dressed in these langotis, and you particularly had a blue one. It was you were my object of teasing. But on that moment, when I heard Babaji was giving you these teachings, I had never had any of these teachings, and I'd never really I heard a little bit about it. I was only moderately interested, but I was super curious. So I was standing on a distance because it was really a conversation between you and Baba, and Baba was really coming close to you and telling this story. And then I thought, well, I can hear half of it. It might as well move in a little bit closer and and hear a bit more, because if I shouldn't have been here to hear it, then I wouldn't have been here. So I moved in a little closer, and I listened to this, and I thought, well, he didn't say it to me, but I can also try and see what happens, what effect it has. And this was so before I tried anything. So when I heard what he said to you, because I think what he told you, and I imitated that, is that you had to get up at 12 o'clock at night and until 2 o'clock do sadhana, and then you could still have a couple of hours before the morning bath. And maybe I didn't hear it well, but that's what I heard. And and I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep before. So then I got out of the room at midnight and I also sat like Heraman on top of Babaji's kutir, and I went into different places around, which I considered power spots with my mala and a little asana, and I was doing that. But the time, I didn't bring a watch. Nobody had a watch actually there. So the first time I was so in bliss, sitting there in this beautiful space and doing that, and that all of a sudden I saw the first people going for their bath from, oh, I guess it's past 2 o'clock now.
Yeah.
And after that, in the morning, I would come after Aarti, and then there would be morning darshan. I would be there also with Babaji. And after that, I would go to open the shop and run the shop. that morning, after that night like that, Babaji came into the shop, and that was not unusual. He would come frequently, but he spent some time in the shop, and then he said, close the shop, come with me. So we walked around in the village, and we did think these were always blissful mornings. This was always really wonderful. And then I took a little bit of a nap, and the next evening I thought, wow, I'm going to do this again. And I didn't connect anything. And probably I could sleep a little bit before, but then again in the night, I was getting so caught up in this bliss of doing that in Haidakhandi and sitting there with the mala. And again, I got far over time. And this went on for days, but every day Babaji came into the shop and told me to close up and go with him. Even when we were going to the Gufa, he came first to the shop and take me up. But I still never really connected it because, I was also with him often in the afternoon bath, so I didn't really connect it. But then after, I don't remember, it was 5 days or a week or whatever, I got really tired because I was practically without sleep, 2 hours a day or something. So I thought, well, now it's time that I take some sleep, and this night I won't go. Next day, nice, everything goes on. But after darshan, he didn't come to the shop. He didn't come to pick me up, and I still didn't connect it. But that same night again, I thought again well, I'd take another night of sleep, and we didn't get so much sleep anyway in Haidakhandi, but that was okay. But no sleep at all was really so. And the next day he didn't come again, and then I was wondering hey, that is strange. Would there be a connection? So then again, I did it I think I did it only for another 2 days or something, and he did come again in the morning and take me again around, and then I was sure. But then he left I don't remember if it was Vrindavan or he went somewhere on the trip. And the weirdest thing, which I can still not up till today explain to myself, I never did it again. This sadhana. But it really works. I mean, that's my own, for myself, for my teaching, what I got out of it. If you go the extra mile, and I believe it's in any way you can, but if you do it in japa, or if you do it in any way that you can, if you go the extra mile to go towards him, you put extra effort out, then he will definitely come to you. And I think that is as value as it was for me at that time with Babaji, as it is value for you wherever you are at the moment in your home. If you make the extra effort, if you go the extra mile, he will come, and if you take 1 step, he will take 10 steps towards you. That is still very active now.
Thanks, Raghu. I love that story.
I'm surprised to hear, Lokma, that you also did that only for 2 weeks or something. And then, well, I can imagine. I remember your legs, and standing in the river must have been really torture for you.
Yeah, but another story that ties in with what you were saying, Raghu. Early on, I think it was the first Shivaratri. I was there. It was an all-night chanting, and I went to bed, during the middle of the night sometime. And Babaji came to me in a dream, and it was intense, and I was exhausted, and he kept coming. And sometime in the dream, unconsciously or consciously, I was aware that I was dreaming, and he was showing up, and I said, stop or go away. And so the next morning in darshan line, standing in the back, and I kind of look around, and he looks around at me and says, "You leave." and so it's like, "You leave, you no good," and so that sense of our showing up for the divine when the divine is pursuing us was really a moment for me, as well as for Raghu. And very extraordinary presence in our lives. So,
Still there.
Which never went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love any comments on that line you just had, Lok, from anybody else. When the divine is pursuing us, what does that mean? These satsangs have really opened up a lot of these things, and I so appreciate everybody, and I think Gayatri often brings us back to, we are the divine, and the divine is everywhere. How can he pursue us? And how can we push him away? And it's like, I guess I'm sort of a practical kind of person. What does that look like? So you had this dream, and in the dream it's like, come on, Baba, I'm tired. I need some sleep.
Well, I'm still there with Nan Singh, who said that he didn't do something that Babaji told him to do. So he's kind of doing penance. I'm going to challenge you on that, love, because you're the only one judging that not having done something and putting yourself in penance. I don't think Babaji requires any penance of you. It's so I think you can put that one down. I think you can lay that.
No, I was jesting with that one. And,
okay.
I tell you, the next a couple of years after that, I was in Haidakhandi, and we were leaving to go to Guru Purnima in Vrindavan, and Baba came, and I can't remember how it happened, but he took me for a walk, like a long walk down the river beyond the Satikund, just the two of us. And the whole time I didn't realize it was the last walk I'd ever take with him. And the whole time he had his arm around me, and my head was, if you're in a photo, I'm standing next to him with a kind of similar height, but he had his head, my head under his arm, and he was rocking me as we walked. And the whole time he was whispering in my ear, "You happy, you happy, you happy." It went for, it probably wasn't so long, maybe half an hour or something, but it seemed like forever. It was like got the battery charged. Still running. Yeah, and this miracle, I think anybody who was around Baba experienced of, it's like he knew what was going on inside you, like no mistake. And one day I had a ticket to go to Australia. I'd never been in Australia, it's like, but I had a ticket to Australia. And I was running in my head. I couldn't stop it about how much longer I should stay in Haidakhandi. I could not turn off the voice. And Baba said to me one day, "How long do you stay?" And I said, how long can I stretch this out? And I said, 10 more days. And he went, "No, Nanwa, 5 days only." So then, but the voice still kept going round in my head. it's like, maybe I can spin this out, maybe I can spend longer, maybe I don't have to go. And 2 days later, I was sitting with Gora in her room, and Baba came and he looked at me and he went, "What? You still here?" And I'm like, "But you said 5 days and it's only 2 days and fuck." And then he looked at me and he said, "Nanwa, you stay always." So,
yeah, I feel like that that voice that like messes with that, oh God, and also, oh, I didn't do that, he told me to do that, and guilt, and I mean, those things are what keeps us in our story and our personalities. And like the idea that the divine is pursuing is, it's our higher selves or our true selves inside. I don't know if it's pursuing, but it's certainly waiting for those blank moments when our personality, you know, takes a pause, and then it's right there. And yes, it creates circumstances in life, material life, to get our attention, to remind us of that place. And that's how I would say pursue. It's there, and it's like calling a little, you know, it's calling to us. Our true nature is always calling to us. Usually we're too busy to even notice or hear it. So, but it is us. It is, you know, we are all that. And yeah, I really pray that this new year we can fulfill that connection, fulfill that truth of what we really are as much as possible. Because in a way, this whole corona and everything, it also is a gift, because it's slowing us all way down and taking away a lot of the things that we usually are busy with. And, you know, it's a beautiful space also. It's a beautiful
Gayatri, it sounds extremely vague as a model to do for what you just said. Babaji gave us such beautiful tools in that way. Now, of course, as Nanwa was saying, I was feeling guilty because I didn't do what I needed to do. That feeling guilty is no use at any time for whatever you do or don't do. We all know that and we still at times get into it, but that is nice if from some self-reflection and catch yourself on it. But on the other hand, particularly talking to you now, Gayatri, and since everybody is listening, I would really not underestimate the value of just simple japa, repeating the holy name, whether you do it with a fire or whether you just sing the arti or whether you sit with a mala. I mean, it is work. And it is, but that's what Babaji has been telling all of us, and telling us also to give around. He didn't say, yeah, just connect with the divine. How do we do that? These are instruments to do that. And he has given us mantras, and that is working. Maybe you are an exception, and that you are just, you dance and you are.
He said, I will work my whole life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm in the karma yoga. I'm not so much of a meditator. Everybody knows that. So I'm a karma yogi, and I love to work, and I love to help, and I love to love. So those three things work for me.
Wonderful. But I'm just saying, here we are. Here, since we are talking about sadhana and the importance of sadhana, I think it is important that we try to keep that line a little bit of what Babaji was advising us, telling us to do, and the beauty of that, and for all those who don't know Babaji or didn't meet Babaji or are thinking along these lines, we all, everybody here included, also the people who are still going to see in the future, we have this busy mind, and we have this, particularly in this turmoil situation that the world is in now, and it is not only the world, the world is inside of us. We are the world. So we are also going through all these different processes. And the mantra are these simple sadhanas. They're not easy, but they are actually very simple to do. They are medicine. They are tools for our connectiveness to to the divine. And the divine, as we were saying before, is always present everywhere at all time. But Babaji is the angel who gave it to us and who is connecting to us. And if we connect through him, he will help us. The divine is just present always everywhere, but Babaji will come out and grabs you. And that's what happened to everybody here, that we are somehow interested in all these odd times and looking at the computer and listening to these stories from each other. It is because we have Babaji somehow in our art. Babaji is calling us that we want something, that we want more. And then these words of repeating the mantra and all these things are really something to value.
And I don't think there's any separation. I think Gayatri, I also think of myself as a worker bee. And that's why I've never spent much, a long time. And I've heard also this idea of, trying something new and not getting me not getting stuck. And I'm a worker bee, so I'm going to be finishing up the dishes before I go up to the temple. But all that time, on a good day, I'm doing Om Namah Shivaya. So the Om Namah Shivaya is there. I'm not counting them by any means or sitting with my mala. So I think Baba and His Majesty told us everything. He said, I don't want the name of God being like muddy water. So do your work and be light and do Om Namah Shivaya with it. And so I don't think there's any separation between being that worker bee or worker, or whatever you call it. And here I'm on sort of relating to that too, that's the goal, that our whole life is Om Namah Shivaya as we do our work. And then also, but this idea, I think from time to time, like grabbed me when Raghuveer was talking about his, like, oh, and Lok was referring to that, he gave us a selection of things and not to get stuck. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try a day of japa. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I don't sit still very well. I don't meditate very well. Sastraji he sent me this unsolicited letter one time, Sastraji, saying, every morning and every evening you should get up and do this meditation. And I'm going, what? I didn't ask for this. And with his wisdom, he said 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. And with my rajasic energy that I have a lot of, so far I've gotten to do the 10 minutes in the morning. I still can't do the 10 minutes in the evening right before bed because I fall asleep. but so anyways, I'm just saying that I don't think there's any difference, but I do think, we want to, I'm going to give it a try and see what it's like. And just giving it a try, the 16 malas every morning is different. There's a different vibration, and it does leave me in a slightly different space. So this worker bee is going to see what she can do. She'll probably fall over and go to sleep, but.
I think the key word is tools, and like Raga was saying that, we're given these tools, and what are they for? What does Babaji want us to do all the time? Pay attention. He wanted us to pay attention. That was a consistent teaching all the time. Pay attention. And when we didn't pay attention or listen, he didn't quit loving us because we didn't pay attention or quit listening. He just always went from there. Okay, so you're a bonehead, you blew that one, but okay, let's go, and so we have all these tools that Baba's given us, and we can each use them to our own capacity, but we should try them out at least and pay attention.
Yeah. Really. I love what you said, Lok, when he said that, he was, it's like you're so aware of your whisker that must have been, 1/32 of an inch growing because you didn't shave because you had a cut, but that he was that aware of you And then there was all these hundreds of other people around him, and then millions of people around the world, and who knows the other cosmoses that he's also paying attention to. Like Arvind said in that one satsang, when Arvind asked him, well, why do I have to get up before dawn and do all this practice? And Baba said, because then we get busy, meaning I get busy, meaning he's taking care of all the cosmoses, I guess. So that awareness is phenomenal, that he would notice your tiny little whiskers, or maybe you grow a big beard overnight. I don't know.
Never missed a trick.
Yeah. Kamuli, you're being quiet. Do you have anything to share? You need to unmute, honey. Do you know how to unmute?
Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, great. I just want to say how much I enjoy being with you. And I think it's so nice if we can do this japa together. That means a lot to me. And I'm so happy for this initiative. And I think it's so important to go back to what Babaji was teaching us, japa and arti, it makes me happy. So thank you so much for being who you are and being, for responding to this call. It makes me very happy. Thank you.
I think what you were saying, Herman, about, and we all know lots of different tools, because I find for me sometimes when my mind is going crazy, and it certainly can over who knows what, that sometimes I can just start doing the japa, start doing repetition of the name of Om Namah Shivaya, and I can then start focusing there, and my body changes, it softens, and it is quieter. And other times I'll do Om Namah Shivaya, and then 5 minutes later I'm over in who knows where. I've traveled around the world, thinking the thoughts that come up are just like, I'm astounded. And so then, okay, Om Namah Shivaya, over in this part of the world, Om Namah Shivaya, over here doing this, doing that, remembering this. And so sometimes I just say up, and because that's often when I'm trying to go to sleep or something, I get up and I do some yoga or something like that. Or I'll just get up and start working, doing the bookkeeping or something that's needed to be done here. So it's like, different tools, or I'll get up early and get to the temple early, so I have more time to spend in the temple dressing mother. So we do have different tools. Like you were saying, Kamuli, we have arti, we have japa, we have doing our karma yoga, doing our service. So for me, some things work at some times, and other times it's much more difficult. So, or sometimes for me.
And I'd like to add that if it's possible, if you're not like totally holed up in your house with nobody around, that we each do a selfless act on the first of the year for somebody, maybe something secret, some kindness.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
There's a very nice practice that I am following at the moment, and it's at the end of each day you write down in your journal 3 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude changes everything, and you perform 5 acts of kindness every day consciously. It's a really beautiful practice. And Hiraman was talking about paying attention. And the only place we can pay attention is in the present moment. And when we're really present. And I think, you know, one of the, I don't understand all the levels of japa even after all this time, but one part of japa is it brings us into the present moment. And now we know about neural pathways in the brain. And if you practice something enough, yeah, you actually rewire the brain. This practice is the habit that you just do automatically. Maybe that's why it's called a practice.
That's Dr. Joe Dispenza, right?
Well, it's the many teachers talk about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So when I'm doing my japa, on my mala, it's different than when I'm just doing it in my head. I mean, it has a different effect often. And sometimes I find myself, though, doing the japa and moving my fingers along. And like I said, my mind is, you know, at Gayatri's house, you know, changing that tire that, I don't know if you know, you had a flat tire on your car. I wasn't there. Jonathan was there helping me. But, you know, just this kind of random thought, you know. And so I realized that, you know, 6 beads went by and I was thinking of Gayatri's car rather than anything else. So then what I do is I just go back to Om Namah Shivaya. And sometimes it's more clear and sometimes it's less clear. So I'm asking, you know, Raghu, does this just happen sometimes and you just keep going, and when you become aware again, come back to...
If you catch yourself already after 6 beats, I would say that's pretty good.
It could be 6 hours, right?
No, I mean that the mind is all the time busy with that, and that it is trying to escape from this, because that's actually, your mind is really ego. So perpetuate imaginary self, which we do all the time, with repeating the same stuff of past and future, and the mantra is a way out, but the mind doesn't like that so much. The mind wants to go back and is fighting with all that. So and that's what the only thing what we can do is to really, okay, not get worried or feel guilty or anything like that, but just go back. And that will take, particularly if we do it just for half an hour a day and we have stuff going on, it's very difficult. That is the blessing of taking out a little bit more time to really to go deeper in there, and that's when you get a little bit further, because when we are disturbed in our mind, when we are perturbed, I think maybe it's better than when we are disturbed in our mind, we can't think straight and we cannot concentrate. Our focus becomes, it's all very difficult. It still is better than nothing. It is better than not doing it anymore. And practice will make perfect. Keep on doing it. Keep on coming back to it. I mean, because otherwise we're totally lost. We lose ourselves in this imaginary stuff, which we call our life. And by the end of our life, we see that much of this stuff which we've been doing was pretty useless. But except for the things we did for others and the love we shared, but for the rest, we've been running around things which evaporate all the time during our lives. So it's really important to invest in the stuff which has value.
And you can't turn off your thoughts, you know, and the mind is designed to keep us safe physically. We're actually all genetically programmed from when we lived on the savannah in Africa as hunter-gatherers a quarter of a million years ago. You know, it's the fight or flight. And it's very good at that, but it's hopeless at psychologically keeping us well. And Baba used to talk about Haidakhandi being a psychological hospital. And so all these practices are about, yes, oneness, and but also about our psychological health, our spiritual health. I actually think they're completely intertwined. And yeah, we need practices to keep us well. And we're here in this material plane, I think, for a purpose. You know, it's like where we can self-realize. Otherwise, I'm not sure why we're here.
To taste.
The other thing that we didn't talk about much is when we do spiritual practices, you know, and they're acts of loving kindness to ourselves. And when we make loving kindness stronger in ourselves, then we can perform our duty of sharing loving kindness with everybody we come into contact with. The great Jiddu Krishnamurti said, when you undertake spiritual practice, he said it's like throwing a stone into the middle of a still pond. And he said, so the ripples spread out. He said, if you want to change the world, you change yourself through your practice, and then the whole world is affected. I'm going to go back to bed. It's 2:30 in the morning, and it's time for another 2.5 hours sleep. So,
so much love to you.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Love you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Sweet dreams.
And it's New Year's Eve, so God bless, and may the coming year bring us open hearts and the gift of giving loving kindness to all. Bole Baba ki jai.
Jay.
Jai.
Thank you, Nan.
How did we lose Pujari?
You know, Pujari is really sick.
He's really sick.
Anjani have had a terrible cold, so he was here shortly at the beginning, and I guess he fell off asleep, perhaps. So missing him a lot today, but and keep him and Anjani. And Anjani's went into her nerves and things like that, so it's quite painful as well.
Yeah.
We'll keep them in our prayers. Yeah, lots going on for lots of people. You know, one time I was telling. We have a lot of visitors that come to the ashram, and a lot of them are Indians. And this one Indian man, I was something happened that was quite lovely, and I said, oh, you know, it was a miracle that this happened. And he looked at me and he said, Ramloti, life is a miracle. All of life is a miracle. And he believes, he was saying, is that God or that divine, whatever we're going to phrase, that higher self within ourselves, from time to time makes more astounding things happen to remind us to look, because we get used to life and that, you know, that our blood circulates and that we're alive and we're walking and we're talking. We have people that love us, you know, and we have warm places and things to eat and everything like that. He says we forget. And so sometimes, you know, the divine showers us with something bigger, but that all of life is a miracle. And we're talking about that awareness that every moment is a miracle. And it does, it transforms everything. when I remember that.
Can I share something to that, Ramloti?
Of course.
While I was in Germany now, this was exactly my second year of getting to know Babaji. And the very same day when I just looked out of the window, I saw a car just passing by. This was a car of somebody working next door. And I mean, this is a very remote place where I live. And the name of the company was Shiva. I thought that was really, I mean, another just, yeah, little twinkle or lila or whatever, just because I was asking for, for Babaji to, come into my dreams, or so this was, even in plain sight. So that was really, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, beautiful. Somebody else wants to share or ask questions? Comment on what you've been hearing or change the subject.
I have been listening to a beautiful video on the French Samaj chanting of the Om Namah Shivaya. That's how I recently go to sleep, with that rewinding a couple of times. It's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Yeah,
I would like to send my love over there to Bhaskaranand and everybody at the Dutch ashram. I miss you guys so much and cannot wait to be back with you. And thank you so much for all the beautiful karma yoga you're doing. Seth, also just so beautiful watching the garden develop and everything change. By the time we get back there, it's just going to be like unbelievable, all the work that's been done. So thank you all and bless you, and much love and happiness.
There's still a lot of water under the bridge, Gayatri. We're going to have the Guru Purnima this year in Holland from the 9th till the 13th of, now we're going to go ahead now, no matter what.
I'm going. I'm definitely there.
Nice moment, because it's not really out in the open yet with the invitation, and it's too early to make reservations, but maybe you can tick it in your agendas. That 9th to the 13th of July will be a big party for Babaji in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, everybody, remember to donate to the ashrams if you can. I mean, England is doing a whole project. They now have land and they need some funds to get some things started, the building, and France and Colorado and Holland and everything. I mean, you know, it's so, as we remember all these other associations that send us so many requests for funds, please, if you can, remember to donate to the ashrams that can really use some help, especially with not having so many visitors in these last couple of years.
I did want to check in with this group in Holland. Bhaskar, are you still there that you can unmute? Because you haven't said much about what you're hearing, or like Gayatri said, your wonderful project that we all get to see on Facebook from time to time. It is really wonderful. Give us some wisdom.
Yeah. Well, most of the things which should be said are already said about japa, the mantra, which is coming. And I think the one thing is very important. If you go on with your work, the direction you should have, the mantra comes by itself also. And the mantra comes and puts you on in the right track. But if you are in the right track, the mantra also comes. And you should be simple in your mind and in your heart. Otherwise, you get the trouble of all what's in your head.
Bhaskar, can you say that again? I like that.
Again.
Be simple in your heart.
Yeah. You should be simple doing your work with the direction of your work. If you are in the right direction and you are be simple, the mantra comes to you. And if you forget to go forward, you becoming complicated things. This we in all this time we have also less people, of course. We have to be dim a little bit, but it's also it develops also quietness. There is also a kind of blessing, like some were saying, from this COVID time. And people who need to be here, they are here. And Seth is doing a lot of work, and we are transforming. We are transforming nature here. It's much more biodiversity, and it's nature is a remembrance of the divine mother. So it's like she gets beautiful clothes, etc. Like you dress her in Colorado, we dress her in a different way here.
Nice. Thanks, Bhaskar.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're such a shining example of karma yoga. I love you deeply.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful project, Bhaskar. Thank you for letting it evolve and nurturing it. And I love that that you so deeply appreciate that God is clothed by nature.
Yes, he is. Yes.
I love that awareness, like you were talking about Hiraman, but I'm particularly remembering when Raghu, you said, Raghu, come back, don't go to bed.
I'm here. I'm just here. I'm very close by.
When Raghu, you said, it's like, so I was like close enough to hear Baba speaking to Loknath, and I knew it was, he was really speaking closely to him, but I could hear. And so I knew Baba, knew I was listening. So I just went a little closer to hear more, but it's that awareness that I love as it builds in me. I used to think, oh, these important people came to RT and, the drummer's not here tonight and I'm just playing it, winging it on the, and it's not quite as pretty, or the, whatever. The bhakti fell out of the RT lamp, or, all this silly stuff. And finally, after many years of being hit over the head by Baba, I just realized that, it's perfect. And if I was there just screeching out RT by myself, Baba can allow the people that are there to hear the Philharmonic Orchestra, and hear the angels singing. It's all Baba. It has nothing to do with me. And it's that same thing. If I'm there hearing this instruction to Loknath, then I'm supposed to be here. And it's the same thing. If, mother's to be clothed in white today because it snowed all Christmas Eve night, then that's how it is. And just to be grateful. So I love those reminders to me that it's all the divine. And this Ramloti story that is pretty big in my head is my story. My story.
I bet you're like me when I read things like, all right, I work all day and then I read some Baba teaching and it's like an idle man and it's a dead man. And I'm sitting there reading it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm idle. Oh my God, I'm a weight on the world for 5 minutes. That's the one that really gets me. I'd love to do a whole call on the idle man is a dead man. or weight on the world, because that one really gets me every time. And I think that also if in your heart you're doing the mantra, okay, so maybe on the first of the year, Raghu all day is going to sit and do the mantra. So that's idle in terms of physical activity, but it's not idle in terms of consciousness and connection. So I don't know. I'd love to do a thing on that, guys, sometime, because it's something that really gets me sometimes, this idle man. I don't want to be an idle man, but sometimes I need to take a break also. So I'm just like, wait a minute. And like Raghu said, the guilt doesn't help anybody, and the only one judging is me, but still.
Yeah, meditation is always better than sitting around doing nothing, no?
Well, and that does remind me, like, also, I think it was Annalou who wrote that she would like us to do satsangs on truth, simplicity, and love, because we talk about that, but what is truth? And I was just reading Pritam's book last night. We're reading it before and after Arti right now, his Truth, Simplicity, and Love. And there was a whole section on truth. So I was going to ask him to join us too, but I think all these ideas of what future satsangs, and yours is the idle man, are good, that we can start writing them down and think about them too. So thank you.
It might be an idea, Loti, to ask everybody here and whoever is on your list to send in to ask for topics, because maybe puja is interesting, maybe japa, maybe fire, maybe truth, love, and simplicity, maybe other things which somehow pertain to our, because of course we can go into the whole spirituality, but maybe things which pertain a little bit to our Haidakhandi saga, or where we can talk about Hirakan, or about different ashrams, or how to do seva, or these kind of things which are tickling us as Babaji and holding Babaji devotees, and which holding us together. That might be nice to ask anybody else here in the community from, oh, let's have that as a subject one time, or things which don't immediately come into our mind, but maybe other people are thinking about.
Thank you. That's great. I have no list. So anybody, hopefully you know how to get contact with me. Just send me a message or an email or a WhatsApp, or any one of the 1,000 ways we communicate these days with one another. It's quite amazing. I think that would be a great idea, Raghu. And I think as we're sort of wrapping up this morning, afternoon, evening program, that wherever you are in the world, maybe we want to go back to just focus on this idea of Saturday. If people have a few more words about Saturday being the first of the year, and setting our intention, and to bring more peace and harmony into the world, more compassion, more awareness, more of these words that we've talked about, and that many of us will set aside some extra time to actually do something, and maybe sit on our pillow. I'm going to just sit up in bed, if that's okay with all of you guys, and do my job. I don't know.
Guys, I love you. My heater man's here. Happy New Year. Much love.
Hi, Gayatri.
Happy New Year.
Have a great New Year's.
Happy New
Love
Year.
you all.
Love.
Bye-bye. So any other words about Saturday, the first? Like I said, I'm going to get up early and start doing japa and keep doing it. I still don't know if I might take a break later in the morning to do a fire ceremony, because we live stream them every day and people seem to appreciate doing that. So I might take a break for that. So that's what I'm up to.
It might be nice for us to find a time, since we're all over the world, we all could be at least 1 or 2 hours of time that we could all be doing it together. That would be kind of sweet. I don't know if that's possible, but
Online?
no, I mean, just a time. during the
Ah.
day that corresponded to different times around the world where we could all do it together would be sweet. I don't know if that's possible, but that's a
Very, very difficult, of course, for Gaia, for Ramloti. The day for you too. The day has just started. There for me, it's really over. I have no.
yeah, but I mean, say, what if it was 2 or 3 in the morning for us, or and different time. I'm volunteering you from Ramloti. Well, it'd only be 4 o'clock in the morning for you. Anyway, just something to think about. I guess it's whatever.
Same time like today, the satsang? I don't know.
That might, or 1 hour earlier, or
Yeah.
6 o'clock or something. That would be 8 o'clock your time, Raghu. Might be more. It probably won't.
But I don't know. Also, because it depends on how we all feel today. I'm going to do also on the 1st. I will start early with preparing the temple in Kamalaya on that day, and do the arti there, and then afterwards I come up here with a few people and do Havan also.
Okay.
So my japa activity will start only by the time I've brought everybody back to the parking lot here, and
Yeah.
and start like that. I mean, that's
Right.
yeah.
But
So, and I'm sure that everybody will have different things going on. So it might be difficult. So we better connect here with everybody in our heart,
Okay.
and knowing that we are in a group of people, and that includes also the people who are still going to see this on how do you call it, on YouTube, and anybody who wants, that we feel connected, that we are all Babaji's devotees, and that we're going to try to put our little bit into this minestrone of the world, and where all these activities not so nicely going on in the world, and that we add a little bit of light, a little bit of Babaji's divine name, and whatever we want to call it or do, but that we just give some energy there as an antidote.
well, I think just knowing that everybody,
Correct.
all of us are doing something extra on this first day of the year. I can commit to making sure it's 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing japa. And that would say 5 o'clock for you, Hiraman. That would say 8 o'clock for you, Raghu. Europe, I think it would say 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we can say that, that
And whoever does it, and we'll all be together anyway, like Raghu says.
we're all going to be together.
Yeah.
But if there's only a couple hours in your day that you can do it, perhaps like our Europeans could say, okay, at 4 o'clock, I'm going to start doing my japa, at least for many people, the easiest time is definitely in the early morning. But not everybody. Some of us are dressing the murchis or making the fire ceremony preparations. And it is, but I think the intention is really beautiful. Whatever we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having this us back.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah, and so our next satsang will be a week from Saturday, and the focus will be sharing how it went. Is that good for you, Raghu? I know it's late for you now. Thanks for being up so late.
Yeah, well, I tell you the problem is because I'm really awake too. I had a coffee, and now everybody's gonna say good night, and I'm gonna be
I know.
because I'm already in bed by this time since a while.
Exactly, and now you're all.
No, that's okay, but I don't know if this is gonna be the regular time from now on, from
I don't-
9 till 8.
Probably not with such a late time in Thailand.
Anyway, we'll see how it goes, and when I can, I mean, I love it. It's very nice to be with everybody, and if there's anything what I feel that I can add to the soup, then it'll be a pleasure.
It's a delicious soup. I love it. I'm happy we're all back together. So in 9 days, we'll be back at this same time, and then we might shift to a little bit later time for a while as well. seems like some people on the West Coast it's a little bit easier. So, but moment by moment, here we are. Anybody want to share their wish for the new year, their intention, their teaching, their wisdom? Go for it.
I would just like to add that it's so easy for us to always remember Satya Sarelta Prem, and that remember always there was sub judico all to all of life, service to all of life too, was always in that equation. And especially with this new year coming, maybe we can just remember, not only remember the love, truth, and simplicity, but also the service.
Service, yeah. I think Gayatri and Nansing were both pointing to that, something special. And sometimes it's just calling somebody on the phone that we know might be pretty lonely today on this particular day, or suffering, whatever. It can be simple or more shoveling snow.
Every opportunity that presents itself to us,
Yeah.
Other people? Particularly the folks we might not have heard from, Sita, Milvi, just a quick word.
Much love to everybody. And I think we can also remember that we're connected to other communities who are praying and serving, and knowing that we humans on the planet can make a difference.
Yeah.
Be happy.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Everybody, a very happy new year from Sadhana, and very good being, strong being on the first and after. And I think I will try for 1 hour japa. It's already a bit busy with many people here. So
nice. Maybe many of you will sit in the temple and do 1 hour together. Who knows?
who knows?
Who knows?
We can arrange. We can arrange the time here.
Yeah, nice. 4 o'clock in the afternoon while Hiraman and I are doing our japa.
Okay, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a perfect time.
Nice. Okay. Right. Anybody else want to say hello, goodbye, or thank you, or wishes for the new year?
Well, yeah, thank you, everybody. It was wonderful to be with you. And I'll be doing my japa and thinking of the whole group, the whole community that we are, and thanking everybody.
Thank you, Analu. You are always in our hearts. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. I like being here and listening.
Very good. Thank you for being here.
Baba ki jai.
Jai, Baba ki jai. Om Namah Shivaya.
Sure.